Please join me in welcoming our 2011 Distinguished Service Award winner, John MacDonald.
Thank you very much. It's quite an honor to be standing before you this evening. Most of what I have done for a long time really doesn't seem as though it's anything special. I mean, what more can you do with just giving kids an opportunity for a better life? It's pretty much the heart and soul of my involvement. You know, to get this award and be standing here, it's kind of humbling as well, especially after the 5 previous recipients of this recognition. Matter of fact, you talked about Jimmy's books. I have 2 of them on my coffee table and back at home, and I'll tell you what, he's quite a guy. Mr. Walsh, the same, had the chance to know Chet for a long time, and what a man he is. Mr. Walsh Sr. It's a great group of guys, and I'm happy to be a part of this recognition. You know, I almost feel like I should be giving all of you an award, because there's really not much I've done in the game without your help, whether you know it or not. You've given me countless number of free rounds. If it's free, it's for me, and certainly for my players. And you've given us not only free rounds, you've given us the opportunity to host tournaments at your clubs. You've given us equipment, whether it be for Temple or the kids. You've given us your money. You've given us many of your members to sit on our boards. And I'd just like to mention one of the presidents, one of the clubs, Look Away, give you an idea how sometimes people really get into what we're trying to do for kids. And Bill Waldman's the president there. Many of you probably know him. Bill happened to play in a couple of our events. And then he come over to Walnut Lane, the course that we run, and played around with me there. And I'm big treating folks when you come to Walnut Lane, you get your steak sandwich at D'Alessandro's. Next thing I know, he wound up putting a tournament together at Look Away for the benefit of the kids. Had the bus come, pick the kids up. Kids participated in the event. When it was all over, he handed me a check, and it was all with his members for $50,000. Especially when you think about the economic times that we're in today. That's quite something. I know Mark talked about how I got started in golf. It was kind of unique, actually. My parents moved from North Philly up to Longcrest. And it happened to be a block from the 6th hole at Melrose. I didn't know it at the time. I just happened to see a lot of older kids walking down the street, going across the railroad. So after seeing this a couple of days, I decided I'm going to follow them. And it led me right to the caddy shack, although I didn't know what that was. So I sat there in this caddy shack, and it was at Melrose Country Club. I love the place. And I kind of watched the guys playing cards in there. The aroma of the hot dogs in the pot just boiling away. I had no money to buy one, but it was great just smelling it. And, you know, I kind of got tired sitting there on the bench, and I'd walk outside and I'd see guys that were standing there, and I'd see them walking past the 3rd hole, although I didn't know it was the 3rd hole at the time. And I saw how they carried the bags. So I sat there for a while and wasn't sure why I stayed there the entire day, it seemed. And the next thing over the intercom, I hear, send up a double. Well, I was the only one left. I was 8 years old, and I was skinny. And the caddy master looked at me and says, "Can you make it?" I didn't know what make it meant. And I had followed the track of the guys that left the caddy shack. They went up the hill and around the pool, and then I never knew where they went. So I trucked up the hill and I went around the pool, and there was a guy standing there going like this, and I went up there. You had to walk down 3 steps to get to the bags, and that's when my fear hit. I think the bags were bigger than me, and I think my eyes were like saucers, and I put them on my shoulder the way I saw the guys walking past the 3rd hole, and I thought, oh my God, I may not make it up these 3 steps. So I did that, and I got out to the first tee, and there was an older caddy there, and he knew I was really raw, and he said he'd help me, and I said, great. And I made it 1.5 holes. If you ever played Melrose, I got to the bottom of the 2nd hole, and going the rest of the way looked like Mount Everest. And the 2 gentlemen that I was caddying for, they kind of moseyed on up the hill, and they turned around and looked back, and I was like, it's not happening. And so they came back to help me out. They took the bags off my shoulder. The clubhouse was right there, and I followed them. Next thing I know, they took about 6 clubs out of each one of their bags, put them in a sunny bag, and I made it 18 holes my first day. And it's the first time I ever made $1. I think I made $6 that day. They really felt sorry for me. But it's my first earned $1, and it was awesome. And about 2-3 weeks later, another fellow, Al Richmond, he gave me a 3-iron. And he said, you know, here, I'm happy to give you your first club. And living so close to the 6th hole, that night I actually was right out there on the course until I ran out of balls. And, you know, it seemed like that was a night, a ritual for every night. And I would caddy in the day, and I love caddying. And then at night I would go over and play what I call the short course at Melrose. And that was 6, 7, 4, and 5. And, you know, I had this fear always that somebody would want to kick me off the course and take my 3-iron. And I hit every shot with that 3-iron. Drives, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th shot, and then my chips or sand shots, and then try and putt it. And, you know, whenever I would hear the maintenance crew chugging along, it would scare me to death, and I would take off. And so that was kind of my beginning in golf. And when I say I played or caddied every day, I played every night. And I even played, I love Mondays. That was Caddy's Day years ago. And the reason I loved it so much was the only time during the week that I could take a full swing and finish my follow-through without looking around for something to try and catch. It was really great. And then I know I was caddying for a couple of guys that same summer, and one of them was a guest, and he said to the member, or he said to me, "Do you play a lot?" And I said, before I could answer, the member said, "Yeah, he has that special category of membership. He's a fence member. He plays more than I do." So that was my start in golf. And I'll tell you what, that 3-iron, that kindled a spark and sparked a fire in my soul for the game of golf. You know, the game has meant so much to me. And that club, I caddied there for 14 years, right through college. And then I think they were really happy when, you know, I got to work in a real job and had a family. When we got to a certain point in life, I was able to join a club, and I joined Melrose. And it wasn't too long, they asked me to become a member of the board. I did that. Or not the board, I'm sorry. Yeah, a member of the board. And it was, my first assignment was to be the chairman of the J. Wood Platt Caddy Scholarship fund drive. And I don't know, Bart, but if you look in the records, I think I have the record there for maybe, I know I can't top Mr. Walsh, but I'm sure I got a pretty good number of dollars for a couple of years running. And a couple of years after that, they asked me to join, to become the president, actually, of the club. And I happily said yes to that as well. So I know what many of you go through, trying to keep your head above water. Sadly for us, we were unable to do that. It's probably the saddest day in my life when we had to vote to sell the club.